Hi, so I'd like to give you a little bit of feedback on question one. There is feedback in your Dropbox or in your gradebook, I guess is probably where it'll appear for you. Excuse me, I have a cough, but um, you will see notes in your feedback box. And also if you had for question one, your BPMN model in something which I could sort of circle where you went wrong, then you will also see changes there, so you can sort of see where it is that I was referring to in the actual feedback box. So this is an example of a solution. There's no one right answer, but I kind of wanted to walk you through the important things I was considering. So this question one is worth 20 marks. And it's asking you to obviously to model a process with an insurance company using BPMN. So the 20 marks were divided up into a mark for annotations and looking at business objects then. So in the data store, that's the systems that could be used throughout. I was looking for around 2 marks for that. The data objects like the claim or the check, things like that were used throughout would be around 2 marks. And not necessarily being picky about that you did it in every single place that you could have, but that it is indicated throughout that you have understanding of the data objects and the data stores that could be used at different points in the process. I was also looking to see if you had the right lanes and pools. So in this case, you can see here I have a customer pool, and then I have the insurance company pool, which is made up of lanes. And so in your lanes, you would want to have the customer service representative, the clerk, the appraiser, and the clerk manager. So at least 4 of those lanes for the insurance company pool. So I was looking for that. And then around 12 marks for that the flow represents what the process actually is, that you have your activities represented, all the ones that are mentioned in the description. You have a start and an end. Makes sense that you can end at different points. Here on the screen you can see that the claim is rejected here. So that's an end, but then you also have an end if it's an successful process. When you're sending messages to other pools, so that you're using messages indicated here by the dotted line, and is not a sequence flow, which would be a solid line. Sequence flow are within a lane or between lanes, but between pools you need to use messages. And I mentioned to everyone that I was really just looking to see that you had one sort of white box process. This would be the flow that's happening at the insurance company, and then the customer could be a black box. This is really what we learned and sort of left off with this. If you did model things in the customer pool, I wasn't really that sort of picky about it, but say for your exam, you want to make sure that really you're modeling it within the one pool, because we never really learned how to appropriately do that when you have multiple pools. So really all we have is that there's a customer and that you're going to send messages back and forth with the customer, but we're not going to have actual activities and things happening in the customer lane or pool, sorry. So there's, I guess, a few things that you want to make sure of. So this is an example of annotation. Customer must have a current policy. Customer policy, it would be an example of a data object. Data store would be the policy database. So you can see here, they're all represented throughout. So anytime that you have an activity that needs to use the information or that's updated the information, then you should represent that information with a data object, or if it's using a system, including the data pool. So if you work through the flow, you may have used different terminology, but basically, and this is from somebody in the class actually, their flow, and I just changed it a little bit, but it was a really good one, so I thought I would use it. And so it starts with a message being received from the customer, and this is our message event. And then it goes to the activity of checking the policy. And so some things I'm not going to go through the whole process, but the idea is that, of course, you never have multiple sequence flows going into or a activity. So you always have a split or a join, excuse me, to join up. So down here, I have assess if the deductible is needed or not. There's multiple, you wouldn't have these sequence flows going directly into that activity. I'm using an exclusive or join, goes into that, and then one of those, because it's exclusive or only one of those things will happen, then only one of those things will actually occur, and then this will happen. So that's a really important thing to remember. So here we have, okay, you're checking the policy. If it's not a policy, you're going to inform the customer. So here you have your message, and then the claim is rejected. If the customer has a policy, then you notify the insurance clerk that the claim is being made. You're going to retrieve the policy. Here probably should have a store, data store with a system saying that you're retrieving the policy from the system. You're logging the claim. Then it's going to go down into the applicant lane where you're determining the cost of repairs, ensuring the costs to the enter the cost to the insurance system. Then if it's greater than 5,000, this was a little confusing part, right? So if it's greater than 5,000, you're going to evaluate the claim. If the claim was rejected, you're going to notify, and then of course send a message up, and then that process will stop with the end. If the claim is approved, is not rejected, then it's going to come up here to the insurance clerk lane, and here we have our join. You're going to assess if the deductible is needed. And so then, I'm going to move this over a little bit. Okay, I'm going off the track here. All right, yeah, so if you're going to assess if the deductible is needed. If the deductible is not needed, you're going to generate the check, send the customer the check to the customer. That really should come out, and that should come out of here, really. Generate the check, and maybe you'd have another activity saying send the check to the customer, and then the end of the process. If the deductible is needed, then you send a message to the customer. You're receiving the deductible. That's from a message, right? And then you're going to check, then, do you need any more deductible? If you do, and you go through this flow again. So this is like the rework part or the real check. So this is kind of like a little bit of a loop in here, right? If this, then that. And so that was kind of something that I was looking for as well. So if you do have any questions, please let me know. It's important that you do understand BPMN. Of course, it was for 2 weeks of our course, and we now have a considerable amount of time on it with your assignment. It will be on your exam. You will be asked to model a business process. Okay, thanks.